What's going on, Lion fans? Welcome to the Pride Detroit YouTube channel. I'm Meko, joined by my guy Morgan here. And Morgan, we are here to do something that's a little bit different. I think it's whether it's for the better or for the worse. One of the things that's really common in sports media this time is like these heavy type of sports debates. So whether you're talking like First Take or Undisputed, or even just like some of these podcasts that are coming up, being able to defend and debate a topic is something that seems to at least garner a good amount of attention. And so I kind of wanted to try that today with the topic of this video and at least see how it looks. So for the audience, Morgan and I are going to take a topic, and we are going, in which this one is going to be centered around Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam LaPorta. And we are each going to take a player, and we are each going to basically defend our position. On this video, Morgan, we're basically going to be looking at, obviously, both of these players had fantastic rookie seasons, like absolutely fantastic. Which player, though, is most likely to replicate that success? And so for this video, I'll be defending Jahmyr Gibbs. You'll be defending Sam LaPorta. And ultimately, you guys as the viewers can decide in the comments who's right or who you're choosing to side with. But I think this is going to be some healthy debate because I think it'd be easy to get on here and be like, oh no, both of them are going to, replicate their performance from last year. But kind of putting our feet to the fire a bit and just kind of, taking a stance on one side or the other.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fun, right? Because especially this one, I'm glad that we're starting with this one because both of these you can argue for both. Like, I think it's realistic that either can get there, like to what they produced in their rookie seasons, or surpass it. I mean, that was a historic draft class, man. Sometimes I still have to stop and just like look and like marvel at what Brad Holmes did with that draft class, because he's been hitting since he got here in 2021. I mean, his first pick was Penei Sewell, the best tackle in football, and 23-year-old All-Pro, and he's just been money. And yeah, this last draft class is no exception, and this is fun because I really do think there's a world in which both of these guys surpass what they did last year.
Absolutely. So we should have like flipped a coin or something like before we started doing this so we could determine who goes first. But I already did a lot of talking at the beginning of this video, so I'm going to let you go first on why you think Sam LaPorta can either repeat the success that he had last year or surpass the success that he had last year.
So yeah, you look at Sam LaPorta, right? And he balled last year. Started 14 games as a rookie. Tight end's a notoriously difficult position to come straight from college and start producing right away in the NFL. There's a lot to the position, and he did it all, man. From a statistical standpoint, played in 17 games, 10 touchdowns during the regular season, 889 yards on 86 catches, 48 first downs. So the dude is a chain mover. And I think the thing that really stood out to me about LaPorta's game was what he can do after the catch, man. Like, he's got a lot of wiggle to him for a white guy from Iowa. But I guess he's not really from Iowa because I think he's from like the part of Illinois that's like really close to St. Louis. So maybe that explains.
Yeah,
got some wiggle to him. I'm like, because he's crazy with the ball in his hands. Like, it's really impressive. He breaks tackles, makes people miss in space. And I do think there's a world. So he's 22 right now. He's going to get more comfortable as a pro, right? So he's just, been through the fire as a rookie, and, you drink from the fire hose, all that verbiage people use time and time again. But it's true. I do think the game will slow down for him. The disadvantage that he has is the league is fully aware that he's already one of the best tight ends in football now.
Yeah.
But the advantage on that, to the flip side of that, is this offense features Amon-Ra St. Brown, All-Pro, Jamison Williams, who's hopefully going to explode this year, and he's a field stretcher, making it easier for guys like LaPorta and St. Brown to work the middle and the intermediate parts of the field. So I really do think, I think Sam the yards might stay around the same just because of, the way this offense is built. There's a lot of mouths to feed, but
Sure.
at the same time, he could score more just because he is such a reliable and awesome red zone target. Guy's always open, and then he makes those tough contested catches too. He's got some hands on him. I always call it the man hand trait, like when you can win those 50-50 balls. Like,
Yeah.
strong hands, if you will. So he's got that. So I think there's a world where statistically he can exceed what he did as a rookie in 2023. But then if you like turn on the tape, I think that's where you could really see a jump in LaPorta's game, because it's going to slow down, and he's got a second year in Ben Johnson's scheme. Oh, sky's the limit. I'm excited to hear your take on Gibbs, though.
No, and well, really quick, just to like reaffirm some of the stuff that you just said, I think like that is what makes this a good debate, right? Because there's nothing that you said that like I have an argument against necessarily, right? I think Sam LaPorta is in by far like the best situation that he could be in, um, with being with the Detroit Lions and obviously working with a quarterback like Jared Goff that is very comfortable with giving his tight end a lot of opportunities. And so again, the path to him replicating that success is right there. And like you said, the only limitation, really, the only like roadblock to that is, well, it's no longer a secret. He's no longer catching people off guard every single week. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's able to overcome that, and how this offense as a whole is able to overcome the fact that like, hey, your tight end is going to be one of the people that opposing defenses is going to be circling every single week.
Yeah, and the good thing for Sam is he plays in an offense where it's going to be tough to double Sam LaPorta.
Yeah,
because if you're doing that, chances are you're leaving Amon-Ra by in one-on-one situation, which is not advisable if you're trying to win a football game, or if you're leaving Jamison Williams on an island, and he's a literal like sprinter, like he was born like that.
yeah,
That man, when he runs, it's beautiful. There's no other way to put it. Like, so I just don't really think it's going to be tough to double a guy like LaPorta in this offense because of the other. It's a three-headed monster, hopefully. And then we haven't even talked about who we're going to talk about here is, in my opinion, one of the best running backs in football already, behind the best offensive line. So,
yeah, and I'll jump in there because I think that is what makes Jahmyr Gibbs so dangerous and so likely, in my opinion, to not just replicate his numbers from last year, but I think he can go beyond the success that he had last year. I'll kind of echo the same thing you said in regards to touchdowns first. Touchdowns may be the hardest, right? Because he had 10 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. So 11 touchdowns is going to be hard to replicate, obviously, any season, right? Getting double-digit touchdowns. But the one thing that I loved about the Lions' use of Jahmyr Gibbs in his rookie year was that they weren't afraid to give him like those goal line touches. So it wasn't like Jahmyr had to work extra hard to get every last one of those touchdowns. He got put into some very good situations where, again, if it was on the 2 or 3 yard line, he was still being allowed to rush and get touchdowns. They weren't just pulling him out the game and giving those touchdowns to David Montgomery. Much like you were saying with Sam LaPorta, I mean, again, I think Ja being drafted as high as he was, there was a lot of expectation. There was obviously some question marks because, Bijan got taken. A lot of people expected that, and Ja was kind of like, it felt like Ja was kind of like a debatable first round pick. Like some people thought he could be a first round pick, some people didn't think so very much. But the Lions ended up taking him first with their first round pick, and that obviously had a lot of jaws dropping. But he really lived up to the hype. Played 15 games, had 185 carries, 945 yards, averaged 5.1 yards per carry. 52 receptions, 316 receiving yards. Like I said, he did have the 1 receiving touchdown. He was an absolute threat, Morgan, every time he was on the field, especially once David Montgomery kind of went down with an injury and he got his opportunity. The game by game numbers may not necessarily like wow you every single week, but Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely one of those players where you had to watch the games. You had to see how drastically the offense changed. Even again, David Montgomery is a great running back in his own regards. I don't want to make this sound like he's like leftovers, but things shifted drastically in how this offense attacks you and how explosive they were when Jahmyr Gibbs was on the field. And so when I look at, okay, well, who is more likely to replicate that success? I look at the fact that, well, Ja no longer has to prove that he's ready for this opportunity. I think Sam got a little bit of a benefit where, he had to beat out Brock Wright. right? And that wasn't going to be overly difficult to get those opportunities. Obviously, he had to build the trust with Jared Goff, but Jahmyr was going to have to overcome the hurdles of being a rookie running back, having a veteran guy, and at the time, us not knowing how the Lions were going to treat him, right? You and I have talked about it often about how this coaching staff that's full of players like to take that old mentality of like, hey, you have to earn your opportunities, you have to really work and grind. And I felt like Ja had to do that those first couple weeks, but by the time they played Seattle, or I'm sorry, not Seattle, Atlanta, he's off to the races, getting 17 carries, getting 80 yards, rushing, and it's like from that point on, you knew like, no, Ja needs Ja needs 10 plus touches, like not targets. He needs 10 plus touches every single week, and for the most part, he got that for the rest of the season. And we saw what he was able to do with it on a week by week basis. So I think going into this season, much like Sam, where he's a very much established threat for this offense. Yes, defenses are going to have to contend with all of the receiving options, but when Jahmyr Gibbs comes into the game, I think there's just going to be more opportunities for him to pick up where he left off. He's going to be more comfortable in this offense. He's going to, like, very much like what you were saying with Sam LaPorta, he's going to have a better feel for the game. And also piggybacking on something else you said, he's running behind the best offensive line in football. And that's just going to, I think that line actually got better with the addition of Ryan Zeitler, moving Graham Glasgow over next to Taylor Decker. There's just going to be, I think, even more opportunities for Ja to hit those big plays. And I think we see him make that ascension to being recognized as one of the top 5 best running backs across football, because I think he's just that dynamic in both the run game and the pass game.
Yeah, I think we said it a couple times a video or two ago, but I already put Jahmyr in the top like echelon of backs in football, just because every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to score, and he stretches a defense like horizontally. So we're talking about like sideline to sideline, just because he's one of those guys who can stretch a play out, stretch it out, and then he can put his foot in the ground and he's gone. And he breaks tackles. And I loved your point about, they adding Kevin Zeitler, guys. Like Kevin Zeitler's a plus like run blocker. He's a really, really good pass protector, but you just have 2 veteran guards with him and Graham, and then you have Frank, and it's the best line of football. Like you can debate a little bit like the Eagles or maybe the Niners, but I think top to bottom, it's the Lions. So I'm not going to argue you, because I do think there's a world where Gibbs is pushing for even all pro nod in year 2. Like I think that's on the table, because I love David Montgomery. He's essential to this team. He's still going to get a lot of touches, but if you up Jahmyr's touches just a touch, like I think he could really, like he could be in that Christian McCaffrey conversation where it's like, holy cow, man, this guy can take over a game.
And he did really well with staying healthy. Obviously, he missed the Carolina game. He missed the Tampa game. But so did David Montgomery, I believe. David Montgomery missed both of those games because they both kind of got hurt. So that's just kind of par for the course. But I mean, again, to miss 2 games and basically to be 55 yards away from 1,000 yards rushing as a rookie, like I think that's very attainable for him. It's funny with both of these guys, Morgan. I think we both can kind of look at them, and Sam is absolutely, I think, top 3 tight ends, right? Like I think there's a real argument to be made for top 3. Depending on how like you feel about a healthy TJ Hawkinson, right? Like a healthy TJ Hawkinson is obviously like in that discussion, I think, just because of like what he's been able to do throughout his career as a tight end. But I think Sam is definitely like comfortably in that conversation with the Kittles, the Kelseys, and the Hawkinsons, right? Like those are, and Mark Andrews. I don't want to disrespect Mark Andrews because he's been doing it at a high level for a long time, but like that's your top 5 tight ends. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is right there where you're talking about Christian McCaffrey. You're talking about, I don't know, Aaron Jones when he's healthy. I think it's just a little bit of an easier road for Ja to be in that top 5, because I think there's a lot of running backs that if you started stacking them up, there's not many, if any. Like Christian McCaffrey might be the only one that I would take over Jahmyr Gibbs right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And like, to that point, you did really show he was durable, and that's why you have Sione Vaki and you have Bam Knight and you have a deep running back room and Craig Reynolds, because it is running back. It's a physical position. But to that point, man, like knock on wood, Jahmyr didn't really take many big hits. He kind of has that almost like that Chimera ability, or like Jamal Charles back in the day, to where like slither, and like there were so many runs he would finish like where he wouldn't even go onto the ground. He'd break a couple tackles and he'd meet somebody at the sideline, and my cat's wiling. That's funny.
Oh no, it's all good. This is a pet friendly YouTube channel. All right.
I have the door closed and he's not liking it, but yeah, he's right there, because at the end of the day, there's only a couple guys you would take in front of them, and the tight end point. Like Kelsey's great; he's an All Pro for a reason, right? But like, he's not doing what Kittle and Sam LaPorta and Mark Andrews are doing, like with blocking and putting his hand in the dirt and like blocking defensive ends. Like, Kelsey's an All Pro, but you know what I mean, guys. So yeah, it's awesome to have this, because you have these two amazing players on rookie contracts, and that's the reason the Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL right now.
Absolutely. So we'll leave it there. We'll leave it for you guys in the comment section to kind of pick a side. If I can find a way of like putting a poll or something like that in the comment section, I'll do that. But like, let us know where you're kind of sitting at this point. Are you team Gibbs or are you team LaPorta when it comes down to one of these players? If you had to put money on it, right? If you had to take your salary, your hard-earned paycheck, and put some money down on one of these players, outperforming the numbers that they had last year, who would you put it behind? I argued for Jahmyr Gibbs. Morgan sat here and argued for Sam LaPorta. So let us know what side of it you fall on. And if you have a suggestion, if there's a debate that you would like to see us talk about, let us know in the comment section, because I'm looking for this to become a series, but really it's going to depend on you guys and how much you guys are enjoying this type of content, because it is something a little different than we've done over here on the POD YouTube channel. But like we always say over here on the YouTube channel, if you're looking for more Lions content, you can always find that over on the POD website. And if you want to stay plugged into the video content that we're uploading pretty much fairly weekly, multiple times throughout the week, you can stay plugged in over here by subscribing to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel, hitting that notification bell. That way you can be notified as soon as we upload any new content over here. But with that said, I'm Meko. He's Morgan. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and we will catch you guys in the next one.